Hello students and welcome back. So now we are going to talk about different types of registers that we have. So in this video we are going to talk about serial and parallel inputs that can be given to the registers. We are also going to talk about the outputs and that can also be given serially or in parallel. We will talk about 4 different types of registers now. So first of all, we should know that how the input can be provided to a register. A register, as we had discussed earlier, can have multiple bits. In case of parallel inputs that we have discussed till now, what we were doing, every bit is loaded at the same time whenever we are giving a new data, right? So if I have a 4-bit register, I am updating all the 4 values at one moment. The data can also be loaded 1 bit at a time, and that is what we call serial inputs. We don't need to load all the bits at one time. We can load 1 bit at a time. So here now we talk about the outputs. We had discussed that a register is having multiple output bits, and what we were doing, we were reading all the bits parallelly. So here again we have two cases. We can read all the bits in parallel, that means simultaneously, or we can read them 1 bit at a time, that means serially. So both the options are available for reading or extracting the output as well. Now what we see, that input can be loaded in 2 different ways and output can be extracted in 2 different ways. So based on these combinations, we have 4 possibilities: serial input, serial output, serial input, parallel output, parallel input, serial output, and parallel input, parallel output. Now let us talk about all these 4 different combinations one by one in detail. So first of all, we are having a serial in, serial out 4-bit register. So here we can see that there is only one input pin and there is one output pin. The data can be loaded only 1 bit at a time. This data will come to the leftmost register. It can only be accommodated only if the data from this register is shifted to this one. And here we make this shift and this one. So the data will be shifted towards right serially, and then the new bit can be loaded. And once we make the last shift, the data will come out from the output bit. So in this register, we have certain restriction that at one time we can load only 1 bit, and whenever we are loading, we have to perform the shift operation as well. So this is the disadvantage. What is the advantage? If we have limited number of lines, then this register can work. The next register that we have is a 4-bit serial in, parallel out. That means input is still 1 bit at a time. So what we are going to do, I will load the 4 bits in 4 clock cycles. First clock cycle, second, third and fourth. 4 cycles will be taken to load the content of this register, and then if we want to read the output, we can read that parallelly in 1 clock cycle only. So this is serial in, parallel out. The next combination that we have is parallel in, serial out. That means we can load the data in parallel. In 1 clock cycle, I can load all 4 bits. But if I want to read my output, then I need to shift them. I need to shift the data one by one and in 4 clock cycles I will receive my 4 bits. So this is parallel in serial out. And then we have the last combination which we had discussed in the previous video, and that is parallel input, parallel output. You take only one cycle to load all 4 bits and one cycle to read all 4 bits. It will completely depend on the situation and the restrictions that we have on the number of lines and the type of communication protocol, that which register will be used in which application. So it is not that only one type of register is best. Depending on the situation, we have to select one of them. Now we talked about the shift operation. In all these examples, we were shifting our data towards right side. So the register which shift the data can now be categorized based on the direction of shift. We have left shift registers and right shift registers. And in addition to these two, we have registers which support bidirectional shift. So these are the 3 categories based on the direction of shift. So students, now we know about the types of registers. Let us implement one of them, and that is 4-bit bidirectional shift register. We'll talk about it in our next video. Keep learning. Thank you.